Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Fractured Thinking. This morning I felt the spark of conviction. I don't know how to deal with that. I guess it was so vivid. I honestly think vivid is the word that works here. To just feel this thing and have it actually, I don't want to say motivate, because motivation felt so different, but feel the urge to do something. To feel as though not doing the thing would inherently be like the wrong move. And I'm so surprised by this because I haven't felt this in ever. I think, I don't know what I think. I mean, that's why I'm here. Playing Cast and Chill today, different game than usual. But I mean, like, the first thing I did was sit down and open up this year compass, this New Year's resolution thing, because I was like, all of a sudden, I just had this clear vision of what I wanted to do next year. And that's just weird, to me at least. I think it's worth noting that I recently I mean, last couple months. I mean, I've filmed a couple of these now. The last couple of months have been transformative, I think, to say the least. And last week, a couple days ago, I even tried to record a Fractured Thinking on it, but it just didn't flow. I had this realization that I don't just want to be someone who like has done something. I want to be someone who does something, who is doing the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine early, sending a message in this channel of a Discord we're both on. He's also into game development, did a game jam. And I kind of had put out this plan of like making one game a month throughout the entire year of 2026. And got him. Get smoked, little fishy. Am I supposed to do something? Oh. And I guess something, it changed from one game a month to one game over the course of 2 months, because there's other stuff that I want to keep doing. And I said to him, I was like, well, I guess in this chat, it's a 2-person Discord server. Whoa, brother. Oh, stop reeling when the fish is fighting. Good to know. And I said, I want to become someone who does X, Y, and Z, not someone who has done A, B, and C. This fish is like going so far away, but okay. I'm just supposed to stop reeling? I don't understand. Okay, this is very bizarre. Is this how fishing really works? Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked here, if you're listening, for the one person. Although we're after 3 minutes at this point. Anyway. It's just, right, so I have this huge realization, because to me it's a huge change in mentality, right? To all of a sudden go from like, I want to, concrete example, right, is I want to be a good artist versus I want to be someone who draws. I have had this in mind for years. I don't want to just like speak fluent Japanese. I want to be someone who really uses Japanese, right? You're not just, with language learning, you can't just be after some sole result. It changes your goals if you are, right? I'm going to Japan, you don't want to get lost, or you want a basic fluency, you sprint through, you go for that result, and you're good to go. In the sense that, like, yeah, awesome, you have a really strong goal. This fish is, like, taking my entire lore, dude. Lure. And that mentality, I don't think it ever stuck. Like, it never made sense. I thought it did, but it must not have, because with drawing and jiu-jitsu, I think the biggest things I've been learning there, since I've more or less stopped learning Japanese, like I've just taken a break and I don't know when I'm going to get back to it. But the lesson I've been like kind of teaching myself is just sitting down and starting and doing the thing is getting me to enjoy doing the thing when I can detach myself from the results. So all of a sudden I go from like creating this plan, this mega plan of one game a month to, one game every 2 months. And all of a sudden that plan inherently is focused on the result. There's no other way to see it. It is inherently focused on completing 12 games and then having that be done. And the thing is, the problem with that, and this is one of my like bigger transformations over the last couple months, is that when I, suppose 2026 ends, right, and I make this goal, making 11 games out of 12 is the same result as making 0 games out of 12 for me mentally. The partial success is identical to the complete failure, which is kind of nonsense, right? It's BS. But all of a sudden, this mentality shift happens, and I'm thinking, I don't want to just be someone who's made a game. I mean, I do. Inherently, that is true. But the reality to me is that I want to be someone who makes these stories and tell these stories. And I think what helped me with this realization was over the month of November, and I haven't really stopped. The last, 3 days of December, 2 of the 3 days I've written. Every morning I sat down to write for 10, 15 minutes. No to-do list item, no calendar item. Well, there was a calendar item just to remind me, but there was no check mark. So there was no, yes, I checked it off and completed it. And there was no, oh, dang, I didn't do this thing I said I was going to do. So I removed that punishment, for lack of a better word. But I also removed the reward. And that was a very good learning experience for me because it was very, very different. He's a fighter. Right? And I think that all culminated to this morning when I don't know what it was. I had gone to bed at 11:30, and instead of 6:15, I set my alarm for 7:45. Got up, stayed up, and I was on my couch, slightly stretching, reading my email as I do. Just a couple emails that are usually not important. Saying hello to the boys, the kitties. And I'm realizing okay, I have this entire morning ahead of me in some sense. I'm becoming so obsessed with time, or I have become so obsessed with time because college and work, not my current job, but previously, was so obsessed with deadlines. And all I really saw in the deadline was arbitrariness. And in my current job, I think the deadlines are no longer arbitrary, which is good. Both I give them meaning and other people give them meaning. But I was walking up the stairs this morning and I felt, these most recent things, having finally, won a competition, or more importantly, feeling like I put my best foot forward in a competition. I think that's kind of where the title of this one comes from, is that I realized just a couple days before the competition that I take this seriously and I take art seriously, and that's how I have fun with things, which is weird. But I think that when I can take something seriously, it's got to be worth taking seriously. And the best things in life, I think, are worth taking seriously. Now, I took it too far. I turned everything into not risk and reward, but productivity and completion, and strong-arming myself with the sense of discipline. And that was good when the deadlines were arbitrary, homework and grades. And I say arbitrary because those things are arbitrary to me now. Once upon a time, they were my entire world. But now at work, where the deadlines mean something, and I can give them my own meaning in some sense, it's not just because someone says, you know, get it in by this date. In fact, I don't have any sort of sponsorships on YouTube. Like, I want to make videos again, and I feel like that will come around. And I feel like I'm climbing out of burnout. I'm finally toward the end of this road, and I'm coming out, and I'm like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, because I'm discovering all these things of like, I don't want to just become someone who's obsessed with the results. I'm not trying to become someone who has made a game. I am working on becoming someone who does make games, who has all these stories in his head and gets them out, who, whether my belt is white, blue, pink, black, whatever, I'll just show up to class and roll. Whether I'm competing at whatever level, I just put my best foot forward. When I'm drawing, it doesn't matter who else is in the class and what their skill levels are. I simply want to be my best. And I don't know if this made it into any of the fractured thinkings I've uploaded, but being in a sketching workshop and, you know, I'm not the best, but I'm not the best according to my own self. It doesn't matter where anyone else is at. I want to be better. And in some sense, I want to be the best, but that doesn't mean anything about anyone else. Being the best is to bring up Nietzsche's whole idea of the Übermensch, right? The superhuman. It's not about being better than other people. I believe it's one of his more twisted ideas that people have twisted. But becoming the superhuman is not about being better than other people or being, you know, up on a pedestal. It's a self-evolution. The herd still exists. You just exist outside of it. And that, to me, comes to this idea of like conviction and taking things seriously. I've been asking myself for several months now what my conviction is. It's got a whole sort of internal meaning attached to it, but what is your conviction? Because I didn't know if I had one. But I think it's more of a cone than it is a question. A cone being something that monks would, like a question that monks would receive from I guess, mentors, so to speak. Like, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Is one that Alan Watts would always reference. But it's this thing that you ponder, and that's where the value comes from. And okay. Well. And so it's, you know, I stopped asking myself this question for a little while, at least not as much as I was. And not to sound cringe, but like I meditated with this for like 15 minutes this morning because I just was walking up the stairs and I felt this, I don't know if it was my hunger or what, but it was like I'm going to stop focusing on becoming someone who has done things. I can still be motivated by wanting people to look at my art and go, oh, wow. Or, you know, play my games and say like, this was a huge, I don't know. I really love this game. Played this with my brother. I don't know. Like comments that I got from my Minecraft server would always make my day. But to focus on not the journey, but the process of doing it. And I think one of the mistakes I've made the last couple months, because so many people encourage this view of like, relax, take it chill. But the problem with that is that nothing gets done if you just take it all chill. Yes, I could sit here and just with a pencil doodle, but I don't want to do that. I want to take art classes. I want to do art homework. I want to take my own art journey seriously. Oh, I can right click to, okay, that's good to know. And I think the best things in life are worth taking seriously. And that's when you kind of need a break. Or I think breaks themselves become wildly different. Excuse me. Because if you take something seriously for too long, then sure. Then maybe the fun starts to go away. But I don't know. I had this conviction, this resolution that screw it. Like, why are you competing so much, bro? Why are you taking all these art classes, bro? Why are you grinding so hard, bro? I'm not trying to grind. I'm taking it seriously. And I think for a lot of things, that taking it seriously became, again, a little too much. Those deadlines became too much. I scheduled everything. And one thing I've especially noticed, and I think, this is a bit of a chicken and the egg question where, did this system stop working or did I change as a person and therefore it stopped working? So I guess the chicken and the egg is like, I would schedule so many things on my calendar. And that really worked for me for a while. Oh my God, this guy is a riot. And then, you know, it stopped working recently, but is that because oh, okay. Good to know. Is that because I changed as a person? Or is that because the system stopped working for me? And did the system stop working for me because I changed as a person? I don't know. It's all the big questions. But the point is, the system itself doesn't matter, right? The system is to help attain a goal. And my conviction this morning, my resolution that made me download this Year Compass New Year's resolution thing was like, all of a sudden I have this clear view of the things that I would like to continue doing. I do not want to put aside art classes, art improvement, jiu-jitsu, making videos, just so I can make these 12 games over the course of the year. Because again, if I fail to make those games, that's all I'm going to see. Whether it be 11 games or 0. And so my plan at least, is 2 things. First of all, the plan is to, as I did with writing, sit down for, instead of 15 minutes a day, an hour, just in the morning, and work on the game. That's it. And the goal is still, you know, where my, dare I say, excellent planning comes in with scope. Don't make a game that's too big. We're not trying to make full games. The goal is still a prototype. The goal is 1 chapter versus all 9 chapters that come into mind for Death's Ballad, for example. The goal is to make a multiplayer game that a few people can play. It doesn't need to scale or be, you know, super deployed or live leaderboards. I just need to work for an hour in the morning on this game. Every morning. And that's it. In fact, I think a 9 out of 10 of those pats for the achievement I just got have been accidental. Anyway. Oh. You gonna come get it? You gonna come get it? So that's the first intent, is just focus on the doing. And I've been telling myself this for a short little while now in some sense. But I just, it's a different perspective now. Because now I don't want to become someone who has these things but does these things consistently and maybe can even be looked up to. And so continuing on that kind of train of thought, I love to make calendar events out of all these things, because that to me, and this is again where that whole idea of like, did the system change first or did I change first? That whole idea comes in where, is it still focused on the fish? That's interesting. I think it's the line. Excuse me. Of like, okay, well, scheduling these things, putting aside, 6 a.m. calisthenics and 6:15 wake up, and then writing at 8, and then working at 9, and then blah, 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 blah. Those things worked because to me that meant putting aside the time to do the things that I cared about. But again, the need for external deadline took over. The need of results over whatever else took over. And so a part of this whole thing is don't make any calendar events, which blasphemy, I know. It does feel bizarre, admittedly, but I can still use Todoist. I think in some sense, putting these on my to-do list is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a necessary thing for me personally, for the type A part of me. But the type B part of me that I've been trying to wake up for the last year and a bit is not having it with these calendar events. The to-do list is like, it's probably a good medium, halfway in between, you know? And what kind of occurred to me this morning, or what I was able to put into words this morning, was like, well, first of all, you don't need to put things on a calendar to take it seriously. But I also know that not using anything is not going to work for me. I just don't trust that I have that passion that'll get me out of bed working on this thing every morning. There's too many things I want to do and, actively do. And I do need to keep track of all of them. That's not just in my head. But that thought that occurred to me this morning was, when I put aside time on my calendar, when I wake up at 6:15 and I'm supposed to do calisthenics at 6:45, but I'm going to push it because I'm, tired or just stretching out, and I push it to 7. And then I maybe do it, maybe don't. I shower and it's 7:30, and oops, I was supposed to do an art stream at 7:15. Well, now I pushed that. So all of a sudden at 6:15, I've just pushed 3 things on my calendar or whatever. And I think that in some way that created the sense of like, okay, those things are being done. But then the result didn't happen. And so I think, and this is pure speculation, but that maybe this probably isn't how it happened, but this is how it kind of felt to me this morning, was that all of a sudden the feeling of incompleteness, of failure, but failure to do. I don't think failure itself is bad. I just was failing to do, and that was what was bugging me. All of a sudden, it was like setting aside all the time on the calendar was in my head. Kind of like, yeah, all right, sweet, I'm doing it. And then I wouldn't do it, and I'd fail to do it, and that would put a dent in me. And then that would go further, and, I would fail to get the result. And that would put another dent in me. But now, I think I have to remove the urge to take things seriously from making such a concrete plan. And I've kind of known that the concrete plan thing doesn't need to happen for a little while, honestly. But now it's finally contextualized, because I can still, making a plan does not go hand in hand with taking things seriously. Having a map to do solo art classes, great idea. Having a Trello board to keep track of the art homework I'm taking for a class is a great idea, and that really helps me. But just because I don't do that doesn't mean I'm not taking something seriously. I still need to track my tasks and everything, but just because I don't, put aside time on my calendar every day doesn't mean I'm not taking things seriously. And I think that as I try to be less of my OG type A self, so to speak, and the more I tried to stop creating all these requirements for myself, I started to take things less seriously. But that's not the way to go. Do the first part, don't do the second part. And so I guess once again, for like the 10th time, coming back to that sense of conviction this morning, that small, tiny flame that I felt. And I felt as though when I was sitting there thinking about it, I had to cup my hands around that small, tiny flame, and I had to give it some air and breathe on it, fan the flame, right? And it's gone right now. I don't feel it. But just that feeling enough, knowing that it's there, knowing that this thing that I have been searching for years might actually be there. It's like I found a crumb. Release your catch. Why? Oh. Is enough to keep looking for it. Because that is the only belief I have, is that thing is out there somewhere. That conviction. And I think I need to learn how to lean on it. It is not motivation. There will still be moments of grit. I need to find a way to spark the flame. But when I think about wanting to compete more and painting more and taking more classes and painting streams and making videos and doing this game development stuff, it's because I want to take it seriously, and that's how I have fun. Which sounds silly, saying it out loud, but unlike anything I've really told myself, it sounds right. It feels like it's akin to my discovery of hunger. Was that a couple months ago? I think that was back in August. I gotta feed myself the right stuff and have the right conviction, because that conviction, like on my calendar right now, what I did was, instead of having 3 different things in the morning, I just have a block on my calendar that says, do what you want to do next. And I'll look at my to-do list and be like, oh yeah, I do have to draw today. I do have to work on the game today. I do have to work today. I do have to go to jiu-jitsu today. That's it. It's just that easy. I will simply pick what happens next. Well, I'll be back in the land of leeches and lunkers, are you? Don't just stand there like a stunned perch. Grab a coffee and tell me what trouble you've been into. What's this? Okay, awesome. I just want to buy maybe a new lure. You need a bigger rod. Okay. Little guppy. Well, I should buy a better rod. I see. The strength and length. We'll go. Oh, can't do that. Okay. Cool. Does this mean that I have the rod equipped automatically? Okay, we'll find out. I'm going to talk for another 5-10 minutes, but I don't know, all these, I'm trying to like contextualize my whole idea of taking things seriously, but it's very bizarre because it's all still so new. I feel like I've only just scratched the surface of this relatively new mentality. I just don't think... I don't know. I just don't... Whoa, that went really far. Okay. Duly noted. What don't I think? I just don't... I've always had trouble with people telling me to take a break. I wouldn't call myself a workaholic. I think I like the work. I don't like to work. I just like the work. I'm in such a fortunate position that, like, at least now, my job is something I relatively enjoy doing. Like, I taught myself to code. I'm not just here for the money. Which I think I discovered a lot in college. And I think I said this before. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's just not the same motive that I have. And so I want to love the work. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I know I'm bad at vacations. I can't take too much time off because I itch to get back to things. And that itch can be good. I mean, that's when you know a vacation is doing its job, I guess. But I've always had trouble with, like, taking breaks. And I think I'm just finally finding a new way to do things. A new lens to see the world through. And it's, I don't know, I feel like I'm on the right path. Maybe it'll all fall apart in a week, but It doesn't feel like those mentalities that were fragile. It gives me, I think one of the things is that it gives me more faith in doing the things that I say I will do. It's so much more plausible for me to think, yeah, okay, 6 out of 7 days of the week I'll spend an hour doing game development than it is, and it's a lot less stressful to even think about it, than saying I'm going to make one game next month. Because it's not, it's those things are hard to measure and they always change. And I think what's fun too is that game jams remain special in some sense. And like, I don't have to put my nose to the grindstone the whole time. You can have an hour of chill game development and maybe it turns into an hour of grinding and focus, right? Like my job now, you know, on these last couple tiers out of burnout, so I hope, I'm realizing that it's fun to focus. And I use the word fun a little loosely here, but I think, I don't know, I've struggled with the word fun before. I don't know. I think I've spoken about that. But I think that I get enjoyment out of being able to take things seriously. I don't really get enjoyment out of watching another, 5 episodes of TV one weekend. I don't get too much enjoyment out of those things. I think playing games with friends and being with friends is fun. Get a lot of enjoyment out of that. But like painting, I spent so much time trying to make it fun, trying to find the fun in it. When I think for me, taking it seriously is part of the fun. Saying I need to draw 100 heads in 10 days, maybe not that. As a part of a solo art class or like art assignment, yeah, okay. That can be fun. But there's some granularity where I can, like last night I was sitting down, I did 2 portraits. They're both garbage. One of them especially, because I was trying to do watercolor. But I felt like in the process I was learning. I was thinking of value and proportion of the head, and that is what felt good. That was fun to me. I don't know if fun will ever lie in just like scribbling on the page. I don't know. Is game development fun? No. I'm going to be honest. And I think I can say this with confidence now. Saying that it's just fun, saying that game development and then drawing, an arrow and then putting fun here, not true. But if you say game development, put an arrow and then taking it seriously and then pointing another arrow to fun, that is true. And I guess, it's like if you reframe failure, right? Reframe failure to be, oh man, that would suck if this audio wasn't recording. Almost would be funny. Okay, we're good. Right? Failure is not a bad thing. Reframe failure to just be something else. Failure has such a strong subjective, so bad you failed quality to it in our today's world, right? But it's not that bad. I'm predicated upon failure. Failure in paintings, failure in competitions. It's great. It's part of the learning process. And I remember telling someone, they were like, hey, how's the new job? This was years ago when, different job, different time. And they're like, how is it? And I was like, it's going really well. I'm enjoying it. Learning process is going well. And they were like, well, if the learning process is going well, then you're not doing it right. And at the time I was like, maybe I'm a masochist, but that's, what I like. And I now know, I haven't thought about that in months, but I now know that's true. I'm not a masochist. But to me, being able to just, show a little bit of grit and take it seriously, whether it be the job, painting, game development, jiu-jitsu, that is fun. And I think, when I got into video games competitively, maybe that's why I found competition fun. But there was something about it that made me a little, you set a lot of expectations on yourself when you make things competitive. And that, to me, I'm still trying to find that competition inside. But taking it seriously, that I can try to do. And as we row ourselves here, I'm going to wrap it up. The thoughts did not feel like they were flowing as much in this one, but I'm really glad I got to talk about a lot of that. Because ultimately, you know, if you can't add a certain amount of stakes to something, you got to figure out how to play without stakes. And that is difficult. But if you can still take things seriously, it's a beautiful thing. Because taking things seriously, putting in work, those are the best things in life. You don't want to take something seriously that doesn't matter, you know? And if you're lucky enough, like me, to choose what matters to you, to choose what you put meaning into, to choose what gives you meaning, and then you choose to take that seriously and you can still have fun with it, that is special. And I just hope that I can continue down this path of realization. And if I'm lucky, feel that flame of conviction again. But yeah, thanks for watching and or listening. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Have a good one. And as always, don't forget to stay awesome. This game was called Cast and Chill, by the way. Figure it's a really good vibe for the show. Yeah. Have a good one. And as always, don't forget to stay awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.